Here we go. Good evening. My name is David, and today I am running a session of Brindlewood Bay. Brindlewood Bay is a game by Jason Cordova. It's described as a sort of cozy murder mystery investigation game with occult undertones or overtones, or possibly both. It's a game with sort of like loose Powered by the Apocalypse core to it. In it, all of our players who will be introducing themselves momentarily will be playing older women who are living in the New England town of Brindlewood Bay, a sort of seaside town, touristy place where there are an unusual number of inexplicable murders. The ladies are all members of the Murder Mavens, a mystery, a sort of mystery book club at the local bookshop, and they will all be investigating these mysteries as a group of friends. So this game is being run as part of the Gauntlet role-playing community. We're a group of people that get together to play games like this. We have a sort of monthly gaming calendar where you can sign up for sessions of games like this one. We also have a series of podcasts that are released. There's a monthly gaming zine called Codex, and this game was in fact released as a kind of special extended version of in place of Codex 1 month. This game is also now available on Drive-Thru RPG if you were not lucky enough to have already got it as part of the Codex subscription. We'll, as I said, in a moment I will be asking our players to introduce themselves and the characters that we're playing this evening. Just before we do that, the only other thing I want to do is just quickly go over our safety tools that we'll be using today and in all sessions going forward. So we have, before I started recording, we've had a discussion about our lines and veils, which are things that we want to, the content that we're going to be using and how we're going to be using that in this game. As this game has horror elements and it also deals with murder and the like, it's important we kind of know where our personal lines are drawn and where we don't want to go, so that the game, we can kind of have fun exploring stuff in this game whilst also as doing our best to maintain a comfortable environment for everyone to play in. On top of that, we also have a couple of safety tools we're working with to kind of mediate that experience in play. For this both lets us mediate things like, again, sensitive content to make sure that people are happy with what's going on, but also things like the tone of the game and bits and pieces like that, just so that we all can enjoy what we're doing and know where we're going. The safety tools we'll be using are the X card. The X card is nice and straightforward. If something comes up in the game that you're not happy with and you want us to remove, want us to change, whatever else, you can just indicate that to us all by either you can do the whole like hands up in an X thing in front of the camera, which I can manage if I don't manage to knock myself up my microphone first, but also feel free to just stick something in chat saying you'd like to X card it. For personal preference, for me, I find it easiest if people do want to invoke that, if they just say it in chat, say it in voice chat, say I'd like to X card that, just because there's always a chance I might be tabbed out in another PDF or whatever looking at stuff, and I might miss if it's purely visual. The other safety tool we'll be using is Script Change by Brebo Sheldon. This is a series of sort of remote control commands that we can use to indicate various things we want to do in the game. If we call a pause, that is what it says. We will just stop for a moment. We might call a pause because like a scene's getting intense and we just want to take a moment to breathe, or whatever else. It might be that less likely, I suppose, given the current situation. But it might be that there's the doorbell rings and there's someone at the door you have to go and answer. You might get a phone call, whatever else. Or it might be that there's something you want to just like break us out of character for a moment to have a discussion about something that's happening in the scene. It might be that you think a scene is going in a way that you're not happy with and you just want to head that off before we get there. It's always better if we can kind of avoid going into places that people are unhappy with and have to deal with the fallout afterwards, ultimately. Or that also might just be like hey, wouldn't it be cool if this is what happened in this scene? That's also a nice thing we can use pause for. The other tools, sort of the other commands, as it were, that we have are fast forward, which can be used to skip over something. This might be because it's something we don't want to dwell too much on. It might be like the scene's getting, there's a violent confrontation or something, but we don't want to get into like graphic descriptions of violence. We just like say, yeah, can we just go to the point where like the violence has happened and just deal with the aftermath. Or it might be that sort of a scene is getting a bit circular and isn't going anywhere, and we just want to say, can we just resolve this scene and move into the next one? Something like that. Rewind can be used to kind of, if something has happened you're not happy with and you want to go back and sort of do over, that's cool. This might be, like I said, it might be because we've gone into a situation where we're not actually happy with the direction the scene's taken. It's like, actually, this is feeling a bit uncomfortable. Can we go back where we were before? Or it just might be, actually, I realized the way I phrased that wasn't what I intended. Can I just rephrase it in a better way? That's rewind is useful for that. The other one that I think we might see use for is frame by frame, which is a way of which based just in case we want to take a scene a bit more slowly. This again, particularly if we're like going into a scene that might be uncomfortable, then we want to just make sure that we're checking in regularly and giving it due consideration as we go. So those are the script change controls. There is also for my players, there is a PDF of those in the shared folder as well if you want to check over those commands. And as I said, if at any point you want to use those, feel free. That is what they're there for. Awesome. So with all that said and done, I will now ask my players to first introduce themselves and then tell us a little bit about the character that they will be playing this evening. So as I said, my name's David. I use he, him pronouns. This is, again, as I've already explained to my players, this is the first time I am either running or playing Brindlewood Bay, so hopefully I won't make too much of a mess of it, and we'll have fun, I'm sure, regardless of my skills with the game. But with that said and done, I will we'll go through now in time-honoured character keeper order. So Pearl, if you would like to both introduce yourself and then tell us a little bit about your character for this evening.
There we go, mute buttons. So my character goes by Violet. Her full name is Dorothea Violet O'Riordan III, but she just likes Violet. And her style, I have a sort of slash thing. It's generally Dorothy Zbornak, which is a character from the Golden Girls, if you are not familiar with such. Right, are all of you familiar with her? A bit. So I will put a quick image in the chat so people know, or something. But she's the one on the Golden Girls who is just not having it most of the time. Her like baseline facial expression is like this, basically. But Violet can dress up and play the high-class socialite as necessary, which is why the / Alexis Carrington Colby is there. I don't know if people are familiar with her either, but that's like high fashion designery stuff. So yeah, she's sort of generally practical, like large, I don't know what they're called. It's like a coat, but baggier, so that she can like keep things in there that she might want, including her ferret. What? Not a trench coat. I accidentally posted in the Google search instead of the actual image of her that I wanted. It's almost like a house coat that you wear outdoors. It's hard to describe. I've never known what they're called, but they're useful and comfy. And she has a pet ferret that she sometimes brings along in when she is wearing one of those coats, because ferrets have no bones, as we all know, so they can fit pretty much anywhere, in her sleeve, in a pocket, whatever. She has no children, never married. She's kind of an independent woman. She does have a paramour named Wilbur Grayson, who's a jet-setting sort, and so when he happens to be around, they get together and occasionally they send letters, but that's about it. Before she retired to Brindlewood Bay, she was a book reviewer for a literary magazine and a freelance writer on the side. She never got to review any of the Golden Crown mystery books because they were not considered to be the right audience for the literary magazine, but she remains an avid fan regardless. Her cozy activity is scrapbooking because she likes to keep all of the things that she and her fellow mavens come across when they investigate a murder or another crime or whatever it is, and keeps like a 2-page spread for each one where she keeps note of these things. And sometimes that can come in handy later, I imagine. And her move is the Angus MacGyver. Whenever I'm improvising in a situation using whatever's at hand, I can ask the other players and the keeper to name 3 objects I find in the environment, and if I can give a plausible explanation for how one or more of them will help me, I can have advantage on a single roll related to that action.
Perfect. That sounds brilliant. I'm looking forward to seeing more of Violet. Next, Stephen, if you would like to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your character.
Hey there, I'm Stephen, he, him. I've been playing games here on the Gauntlet for about half a year now. I am playing for this evening. I'll be playing Muriel, who, as I have described in her look, is a biker-gran. She has, like I have for her Maven move, Michael Knight, which is I have a trusty mode of transportation, in this case, my motorbike. Me and my late husband used to go out on long cross-country bike trips back when we were younger. Now that he has passed, I moved here to Brindlewood Bay. And I've fallen with this group. I wasn't much of a reader before, but yeah, the Golden Crown Murder Mysteries, it's all right. Oh, okay. Yeah. Was there anything? Yeah, my pastime, my cozy activity is baking. Kind of thinking, is there anything else people wanted to know?
Does your motorcycle have a sidecar?
Yeah, sure. Yes, definitely.
And are you the sort that, makes sure to wear a helmet, like full whatever, or are you
Of course. You don't make it to be a biker-gran without wearing a helmet.
Just checking. Never know.
Awesome. And yeah, I'll just follow up on one of the questions. Thing. What was Muriel's career before she retired, or career or occupation, I suppose, is probably a better way of putting it.
Oh, I think it was like something that was like very. I think it was probably a kindergarten teacher.
Nice, nice. I like a nice kindergarten teacher turned biker, or to kindergarten teacher, not turned necessarily, but you know.
They existed
Yeah,
side by side.
exactly.
Don't worry.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Thank you very much. Next, Jesse, if you would like to introduce yourself and the character you're playing this evening.
Yes. I'm Jesse, he, him pronouns. I've been playing games with the Gauntlet now, going on 2.5 years now. It's been a while. My character is Alexandra Lexie Larkham. Yes, those Larkhams. Seymour and those Seymours. Like I said, she goes by Lexie. She comes from an family in the old New England aristocracy, the old Congregationalist families. You know, in her heyday, she was at every meeting of the Daughters of the American Revolution, she was married for most of her adult life to someone who I didn't give a name, but we'll call William Seymour. Bill, who worked in insurance. When he passed away about 8 years ago, she's now in her early 70s, so she was in her mid 60s at the time. He was revealed to have been running a pyramid scheme, and pretty much everything they had was taken away. She now, justly from the people that he robbed, so she now lives in Brindlewood Bay in what was their vacation home cottage, little cottage by the bay. All she really has left is the cottage, and she was able to save her beloved sailboat, the Molasses Flood. She has 4 kids, and was a homemaker. Took that very seriously. Never hired help to look after the children, though she could certainly have afforded to. Ran the household very tightly. And now she messes about in boats. Has been pretty secluded for the past bunch of years, and enjoys very much reading a mystery novel of an evening.
Lovely, thank you very much. And last but not least, Joel, if you would like to introduce yourself and your character.
Yeah, hi, I am Joel. I use he, him pronouns. I will be playing Nellie tonight, who uses she, her pronouns. Her style is hippy dippy, so I'm imagining kind of like very, colorful clothes, big jewelry that she buys at like flea markets or when she travels, kind of really thick statement glasses, kind of like Carol Kane or Lily Tomlin, that like graying, curly, wild hair. Her cozy activity is painting. So she likes to, have a calm hand, paint like based on pictures that she takes or from memory. And her maven move is the Gordon Shumay one, which I start with a feline friend with whom I have a very strong bond. I imagine she has like a picture of a really big Maine Coon cat that she has. That'll just kind of be like sitting on her shoulder when she goes out. People might mistake for like a fur scarf or something. I haven't figured out a name for that for them yet. And her career before becoming this, her past husband was, did well enough. So when he passed away, like she didn't really have to work much after that. But she used to be a art teacher before retiring. So she's pretty much always found with like splatters of paint on her clothes, probably like a forgotten paintbrush in her pocket that she left the house with, that sort of thing. Yeah, that is Nellie. Does anyone have any questions on her?
No, I think that sounds good to me. Or well, but obviously, if anyone else does, feel free. The other, so the next thing we're going to do, and this will be, we'll go through this and then we'll take another quick break before we introduce our first mystery for the evening, or well, for the run. Is we will every maven, every one of our ladies here will have what's referred to as a cozy place. This is basically stuff that's in their house or its environs and it both helps us to build out a good picture of them and what their life is like, and it can also be used to mechanically speaking, once we get into the game, like drawing on things that are in your cozy place can give you advantage on a roll, so can basically benefit you when you're taking an action if you can somehow link it back to something that you have in your cozy little place. So what we're going to do is we're going to for each character, everyone other than that character's player will detail one object that can be found in their home, and this is sort of tie into what we've already learnt of them, and then that player will note down those objects, and that will kind of give them the like a kind of let us build a picture of each of the characters. I am going to first. We will detail the characters in character keeper order. So we will start with Violet, which means that I'll start essentially with the person to the right in the character keeper. So Stephen, what is one of the items that can be found in Violet's house? And obviously feel free to ask questions or clarify things if you want to to give you a to get this sort of nailed down.
Let's see. Okay. I mean, just for I'm just kind of to kind of get a sense of like what like makes sense, would make sense here. I'm wondering if something like a mysterious mask you picked up at a trade fair would make
That
sense.
sounds like
for
something Violet would keep.
Oh no, this is Violet. Sorry, I thought we were going from right to left. Sorry.
Oh, were we?
Sorry, no, that might have been my confusion. Yeah, no, we are dealing with Violet. Yeah, sorry,
Right.
Yeah.
Sorry. No, sorry. I think I just got confused myself. Okay, sorry. I think for Violet, so like, I think monograph pen that was a retirement gift from your newspaper.
Sounds good. Is it like monogrammed, or is it like a fountain pen, or is it just like, I imagine it wouldn't be as a retirement gift from a literary magazine, just like a cheap ballpoint with like
No, yeah, it's like like I said, it's monogrammed, and it's like a fountain pen.
That sounds lovely. And it's funny because I have one of those in my cozy little place in my other game, despite playing a very different character. But I like it. And sorry if I miss things. My Zoom has been going in and out a bit today, so I might occasionally ask something redundant.
No worries. No, that's yeah. Don't worry about that. I even without technical difficulties, I sometimes miss bits and pieces. So yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you. Awesome. So yeah, Jesse, what's one other object that we can find in Violet's house?
I think it's like kind of an ornate souvenir dagger that Wilbur brought you back from some trip he went on. Right, he's a jet setter. He travels places. I think it's one of like, it doesn't have an edge on it, right? It's one of the sort of like it's the kind of thing that, you know, if you sometimes see like, oh, we're selling you this knife, but it's not really a knife, right? It's a touristy kind of souvenir piece. But it's like pretty ornate, maybe, you know, some etchings, maybe a jewel or two. Could be made sharp, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
Love it.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And yeah, Joel, do you have another item you would like to see in Violet's house?
Let's see, kind of tying into the freelance writer aspect, maybe like a typewriter that she uses. Either, you know, she generally doesn't use a typewriter, someone got it as a gift for her thinking she'd appreciate it, or that's kind of what she types up her messages to her paramour on, or writes up different stories.
I love typewriters.
Perfect.
And I'm sure no typewriters could ever get haunted in any capacities. So no worries there.
If anything was going to guarantee that I was going to get the Murder, She Wrote theme stuck in my head, the typewriter was it. So yeah. Perfect. And for me, because I also get to throw one in here, I'm going to I'm going to say I think I'm going to lean into the jet set lifestyle thing as well, and I'm going to say that you know, just the fridge sort of covered in postcards from various exotic locales around the world. Awesome. So thank you. So we will next we will move on to Muriel, our biker-gran, so Jesse, I'm going to ask you to start off this time with what we can find in Muriel's house.
So just I want to check. I don't, if you said this already, I apologize. But like, did you talk about your family situation? Like you say biker-gran, do you have grandchildren, or is that like a?
Yeah, I have like I lose count. Around 6 or 7.
Great. So yeah, I think So I think that there is like a toy chest, like a and it's weird because it cuts against your aesthetic in a lot of ways, like this or leans heavy into the grand side, right? This very um uh bright colored plastic toy chest, right? Full of kind of like little things you've picked up here and there for your grandchildren to play with when they come to visit.
Okay.
And you can sort of I imagine you can pull out anything that might make sense out of there.
Yeah, no, I like it. Thank you. Yeah, and Joel, do you have a suggestion for Muriel's house?
Yeah, I will say. Be kind of tying in with your Harley, like a tool chest in your garage that you use to kind of fix her up and clean her down after every bike ride that you go on. Make sure that it's in pristine condition. So kind of like whatever reasonable tools you might find in there.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, Pearl, what would you like to add to this house?
Sorry, muted again. Unmuted now, right? My mute's been working weirdly. Okay. I think for Muriel, I'm gonna go with the cozy activity because nobody seems to be touching on that yet. Which is baking, and say a variety of like novelty baking dishes, some of which are vintage, but like, cake and muffin pans where they're like shaped, so you can make like heart-shaped muffins or whatever, and then all the standards, right? So like it's the one like with the cheesecake for cheesecakes where like the outer part comes off. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, like a springform.
Springform, there we go.
Yeah.
Like a springform pan and a flan one with the hole in, or not flan, whatever it is with the hole in the middle, but like just any kind of baking that one might want to do.
Okay.
Bunt, that's the one. Muriel has the supplies. And if some of them are made of, cast iron and very heavy and could bludgeon someone, all the better. But not necessary.
Oh, my bludgeoning days are behind me now that I'm not married.
That's why I never got married.
Nice. And I think I'm going to go. It's semi-related to that last comment, but I think that there's one of those old. I forget what the how they specifically refer to them, but the sort of the like cut off biker style leather jackets. It's got like some got the patches and stuff on it, whether they're outlaw gang patches or not. I'll leave to find out later, but it's obviously Muriel's old man's old jackets. I think is like up in like almost like a frame up on the wall.
Okay.
Brilliant. So next up will be Lexie's cozy place. So Joel, I'll start with you if you would like to detail an object that we can find in Lexie's house.
Yeah, being like a good homemaker and that sort of thing, probably like a set of cooking tools from her, wealthier days. So like high quality kitchen knives, and that sort of thing that are, she probably took with her when they lost the house.
Awesome. I'm excited about having some knives that are hold an edge.
Excellent. Yeah. So, Pearl, would you like to add an object?
But of course. So let's see, she likes messing about in boats, but has generally lost a lot. What I'd like is like I'm trying to think of a good like memento that would have been able to be kept when a lot of this other stuff was gone, but that wouldn't be like sad. It would be like a pleasant memento.
Yeah, I mean, so like one thing to think about that I didn't really put in that description, but I sort of implied is that like she has a lot of like family history, right? There's like an aristocratic thing there. So like that could also be something to draw on if you're trying to think of like memories in the past and history. Like she's rooted around here.
Maybe do you think she would have sort of a family crest or something like that from like long previously that probably
Sure.
that nobody uses anymore, but she would have like a some fancy print of it on the wall, or even like a needlepoint thing?
Sure. Yeah, I like the needlepoint. Is it her family or her husband's?
I suppose that would be. So, which do you think would be more likely to have had a crest, you or your husband?
They both would.
They both would.
They both would.
Maybe it's a matching set that go next to each other.
Oh,
then.
yeah, like it was a wedding gift.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. Awesome. So next, Stephen, do you have an item you would like to add into the mix here?
I'm just thinking of a few things that are kind of leaning into the weird occult for you. I think that a leathery diary belonging to your great-grandmother, talking about the one she serves.
I love this shit. Thank you. I love all of it.
That's nice. Yes, I think for my one, because my one was actually somewhere. The first thought that came to my mind was somewhere between the two of those. So I will go with something different. I'd originally been thinking like one of those almost like one of those like quilting type things where it's handed down from through the time with the sort of people I don't know things. What I actually like now, I think, is to tie back into the other side of it, tie quite literally, in fact, because those when you get those like displays of like nautical knots in like a glass cabinet, all the different ropes tied in different ways, show off all the different knots, and what one of those, but it is these are all knots that either 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 Lexie and or Wilbur tied themselves. You know, this isn't just something they've bought at like a a souvenir shop. These are all their own knots, hand tied.
Maybe it's what, maybe just if I can make it, maybe it's what they used when they were teaching their kids how to sail.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
so
cool.
like here, you know.
Excellent. So finally we come around to Nellie. Pearl, what do we find in Nellie's house?
In Nellie's house. Let's see. I think I would like for there to be a painting she's particularly fond of that she painted one night in the middle. She woke up from a dream in the middle of the night and had this image in her mind from the dream, and she painted it, and she considers it to be like, if it's okay with you, Joel, like her masterpiece. So it's like, you know, featured in her house. And what it's of, I will leave up to you. But since she is a painter, it's like, where did that inspiration come from? Who knows?
I like
Nice.
that. It's definitely above her fireplace.
Awesome. So yeah, Stephen, what's another thing that we see in Nellie's house?
A garden you use to make to grow the plants that you use for your paints.
I like that. Awesome. And yeah, Jesse, what would you like to add?
Leaning a little bit into the sort of like hippy dippy piece of it. Maybe like a set of scented oils and candles. Hell, maybe even a crystal or two. Right, that she uses, you know, to sort of I mean, to what's the, I have completely forgot English. Right, you know, that she's sort of like they're mood setters for her, right? So she uses them to you know, when she needs to focus, she sets one up. When she's trying to relax, another, right? When she's dancing about her house in a frenzy, another. And you know, maybe even she makes them herself from some of those plants in the garden. Maybe some she purchases. I don't know.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, awesome. That's cool. And yeah, I think the last thing that I will add is no. So yeah, I think I'm going to. No, tell you what, I'm gonna add both because I can. And also one of them I think is probably a less useful one, but more just something I like for the image. But I really like the idea. You know, have you ever seen those like videos where they have like almost like shelves set up for the cats to like walk around, so they can walk around like at the top of the room and that sort of thing. And you know, kind of this sort of like ornate construction in the house that's to accommodate the cats, because I like that. So I'm going to add that in. The other thing I want to add though is, and this actually I like the idea of, to tie back into that sort of painting side of things and the outside of things, the like a collection of paintings like from students, so ones that like you know, have been handed in as you know, pieces of work for their schoolwork that that Nellie has kind of kept as mementos. Awesome. So that brings us to the end of setting up our characters. So we've got about we've got a little bit of time left still. So the next thing we're going to do, we'll take a quick 5-minute break, because if nothing else, I need to go and get some more water. But once we get back from the break, we will. The first thing we'll do is we'll just give we'll have everyone basically frame a little montage vignette type scene in their cozy place, just to give us a bit of an introduction to them. And I will start introducing our next mystery. We probably won't actually get into the full reveal of the mystery yet, because we don't really have the time, and there's no sense in trying to rush it in. But that's sort of where we'll come back. But yeah, I said we will take a quick 5-minute break first, so come back at 25 past. And yeah, I'll see you all then.
I always forget to turn my camera back on. Sorry.
No worries. So no problem. Yeah, so we'll come back, and yeah. So as I say, what we'll do now is we'll sort of start out on the you know, the sort of the beginning of session, or the beginning of the first session type activities that we do. So okay, so the first thing I will just point this out for now. The first thing we would normally do at this stage, and you can do if you wish, is we you know, if you want to do so, you'll notice that on just underneath your like name and etc., there's a section called end of session. There's a list of questions here, and the idea is that you can mark 2 of these, and if at the end of the session you can answer yes to those questions that you've chosen, then you get a point of XP. So these are basically kind of clues as to what you want to do in the session, and we kind of check in at the end and make sure you've hit those. So yeah, feel free to mark those now. We are, I don't think, just given the amount of time we have left, I don't think we're actually going to like do the end of session move this time. If you want to pick them for sort of next time, then absolutely feel free to do so. As a point of order, the top question, did the Murder Mavens solve a mystery? That is always checked. So the 2 that you choose are on top of that one that is always there. But that will, you know, just to kind of establish things going forward, that is how we will start off each session. It's just by making that choice. But like I said, if you want to pick yours now for next time, that's cool. I said we won't actually check in on them this time around, but that's sort of how it goes. The next thing we do is, if anyone has a move that takes place at the beginning of a session, we would also do that now. I don't think anyone does explicitly. So again, we won't need to do that, but that is the next thing would happen, and we will check that over again next time if we have Scott along with us. Just to be aware of that. So that's those bits. The next thing that we will do is I'm going to go around and ask each one of you to give a short vignette showing showing your character enjoying their life in Brindlewood Bay. These should just be sort of light and breezy, or warm and cozy. In general, light-hearted. This can change as the game goes on, but for the time being, this is how this will always start, with just a nice little scene showing off your character, enjoying their hobbies, helping with the community project, working around their home, anything else that you think gives us a little glimpse into their life and into what they are about. So that is so we will leap right into that. I am going to ask if anyone wants to volunteer to go first. That is fair. Otherwise, we'll go around in character keeper order. But if someone has like an immediate thought that they want to do, then I'm happy for them to take the lead.
I mean, yeah, I think that we see Muriel pulling, like, we see like some bake fair going on, and everything is very like pleasant and quiet, and then we hear like the revving of a motorbike engine that generally annoys everyone, and it's just like Muriel pulling in with like boxes of baked goods on the back, loaded onto the back. And everyone's kind of slightly annoyed at this, but Muriel just like is completely oblivious to this, and just like takes off her helmet and gives everyone a pleasant wave.
Awesome. I like it a lot. Who would like to go next?
Sure. So I think this is, there's like a kind of like a wide shot of a small cottage perched on top of a bluff overlooking the bay, maybe with a path down to a beach with a dock and a boat, right? And then cut in closer to like a shot sort of from behind of a woman, an older woman, in front of a minivan that's like loaded up with a couple kids, and maybe like kissing one of the kids goodbye. You don't see her face yet, as the door shuts and the van sort of pulls away as the grandchildren and one of the kids leaves after a visit. And you see from behind, like her shoulders sort of rise and fall as she takes a deep, sort of almost relieved sigh, right? And then the first shot of her face is like cut to the inside of the cottage as she opens the door and walks in, and you see her face, and the camera sort of like pans around to like a big mess, right? Like stuff strewn all over the place, and she sighs again, sort of kicks aside a toy, sits down in a big big comfy chair, and like reaches down in between the cushion to pull out a crumpled pack of cigarettes, and sort of takes a deep breath as she lights the first cigarette she smoked since the family came to visit, and just sort of like sighs contentedly, surrounded by like the mess of her grandchildren.
Lovely. I really like that.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Nellie, Violet, do either of you have an idea for your scene?
I think I can do one. I think it's Violet is at her table, and she's dressed mostly in her comfy, like, not out on the town wear, although she is wearing one of her fancy hats because she just likes them. But she's got her fountain pen out in her scrapbook, and she like finishes with a flourish and puts a dot, and then puts it down with satisfaction, leafs through some old pages, and she's a rather avid scrapbooker with some good skills, so she has like envelopes pasted in that she can like take letters out and all kinds of things. And she takes the letter out and reads it with sort of a fond reminiscing sort of look on her face, and then takes out a sheet of paper, and you see her write whatchamacallit, Dear Wilbur, because she's remembering one of their adventures.
Awesome, thank you very much. And last but not least, Nellie. What do we see? What do we see of Nellie in this this sort of establishing shot?
Yeah, I think she kind of probably like a couple miles down the beach from where Alexandra was. She like lugged a small painting easel out onto the beach and got it set up so that she could have like the perfect view of, you know, the waves crashing in. And she's got her cat on one of those little harnesses with a leash kind of walking around by her, and the holding end of the leash is like tied off on the easel. And she's got headphones in with like kind of like 60s stoner rock on probably, and she's just painting away. Has like, you know, some crystals kind of on the ledge of the easel that she'll grab and kind of focus on a bit if she wants some inspiration or to calm herself. And she's just starting to sketch out the idea of like her painting and what it's going to be.
Lovely. So, yeah, the next step in our sort of start of session, in our start of session moves, is that I will introduce our first mystery. So, I'll just sort of explain a little bit about how this works. There are the idea with Brindlewood Bay is that there's sort of a number of like pre-written mysteries essentially that we can play through. So I've chosen one of these to start us off with, and I will. The one that I have decided to go for, and I think this ties in quite nicely with certainly a couple of our characters, is the Great Brindlewood Bay Bake Off. What each, as I say, each mystery obviously has a name. That's the one we will be dealing with to start out with. Each mystery as well has a complexity. This complexity, I'll introduce the mechanics around it properly next time. But basically, the complexity is generally rated between 6 and 8, and obviously the higher the complexity, the more it will take to resolve that mystery. That's the idea. The complexity of this. This mystery, the Great Brindlewood Bay Bake Off, is complexity 7. I will make some notes on this in one. We've got you'll notice there is a tab that I've added to the character kit called Clues. This is where you'll track sort of the clues that you get for each of the mysteries you're investigating, and I will fill in some of the details of this on there for you. But as I said, we'll mostly come to that next time. The premise for this mystery is that the famous British baking show, the Jolly Good Baking Show, has come to film an episode in Brindlewood Bay, and all of you will or can choose to be participating in this in the TV show. And the first scene that we'll be doing, we won't get onto this today, but I'll just kind of lay it out for you. The first scene that we'll be kind of we'll jump into this with will be the scene of kind of the first of the televised rounds of this contest. In which you like I said, you can all be taking part if you so choose. The one question and I will ask this now. So each of these mysteries as well will have an establishing question. And the idea of this is to link one of the Mavens, one of your characters, into the story a bit more, so that there's a that kind of personal connection to it. So I am going to ask, perhaps in the case of this particular mystery, somewhat predictably, but I am going to ask Muriel. The Jolly Good Baking Show is connected to one of your favourite memories. What is that memory?
Oh, I think that yeah, I think that like it was something I'd watched with my eldest daughter.
Cool.
Before she got older and we started fighting a lot.
Nice, I like that. So, I'll just going to sort of follow up on that. Do you think that you have subsequently reconciled with your daughter, or is that still kind of a fresh wound?
Mm. I think no. I think that I'm gonna have to think a little bit more. But
No,
I
that's
like the
fine.
idea, but there's still something there that is distance between us.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, no, I don't necessarily need details now, but that's cool. Yeah, there's still some sort of tension, distance there. Yeah, that's nice. I like that. Brilliant. So, as I say, given the time we're on now, I won't start us on our actual first scene in the mystery itself. I think we will leave that till next time. As I said, I don't want to kind of be rushing up against the clock on it. So that's where we will leave things for this evening. But yeah, thank you very much, everyone. I've thoroughly enjoyed what we have got set in motion so far. But yeah, thank you very much, and I will stop the recording now.